doing the honors. As we transition to the next engaging session, AI-powered tech services, unleashing growth opportunities for tech SMEs, let us remember the wise words of Albert Einstein. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. To take the session forward, we have the distinguished presence of Ms. Namita Jain, Director, Nasscom. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us, we are delighted to have Mr. Sidharth Madaan, Managing Director and Partner at the Boston Consulting Group. Over to you, ma'am.
Sure, thank you. Good morning, leaders. Welcome to 2024 edition of Nasscom SME Confluence. It's a privilege to be here and to be talking to all of you about this very, very important topic. Needs no introduction, that's artificial intelligence. We're going to throw some light on how our industry is preparing, our tech services industry is preparing itself for this future where AI will become deeply embedded and foundational to every product, service, platform that we can conceive of and create. And now it's further fueled by what we call generative AI. Well, both terms need no introduction. Both terms need no introduction. I almost think we might secretly be wanting another technology to intervene for some time, for a change. But here we are. All of 2023 was about generative AI. And we did a quick poll at Nasscom in writing our annual strategic review as to what's been the activity level with so much of decibel around these two terms. How did our industry respond to it? What were some of the activities that our industry undertook? And we looked at all the public announcements that were made across our industry in terms of product launches, service launches, platforms, partnerships, collaborations with academic institutions, with the government announcements, etc. And we saw that just in 2023, there was almost 3.5x rise in the number of announcements that companies undertook. And to add to that, all the skilling announcements as well, right? So that gives you a sense of how important and crucial it is to discuss AI. But it's also very interesting, right? Not all of these announcements were about generative AI alone. They were actually a lot more about core data and core analytics, which is good news for our industry because companies are going back and looking at getting their foundations right, and that means a lot more core digital business, not just generative AI or AI business for us. With that as a background, Nasscom and BCG partnered to create our first ever AI Acceleration Index. Now, what is this index? This is something that we created for our industry to assess how our industry is preparing, A, on the side of client-facing AI solutions, and B, for using AI for its internal operations to make itself more efficient and productive. To introduce the acceleration framework and to talk a lot more about the insights that we got as we surveyed our industry members, spoke to a lot of you in the journey of preparing the study, I would now like to invite Managing Director and Partner from Boston Consulting Group, Sidharth Madaan. Sidharth looks after a lot of initiatives at BCG when it comes to technologies such as analytics and AI. He looks at digital-first businesses and large-scale digital transformations. Sidharth, welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Namita, for the kind words. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Just 1 minute while we set it up. Okay. You can hear me okay at the back? So last year we had done a report with Nasscom around this time, which was focused on sandboxing into the future. What would the next set of technology bets be like? And one of the things that was, very prominent was how AI ML is becoming the core center of everything. This report takes it a step further to say, what does it mean for our sector? What does it mean for tech services? We'll look at this session in 4 parts. Where is the AI enterprise spend happening? Where are the investments going in globally in Indian ecosystem? What does the market in India looks like? Where are we seeing most opportunities? Where does the talent stand in India with respect to that dimension? And finally, what are the implications for tech services? Yeah. In the first bucket, first of all, I think Namita covered it well. So it's not just about Gen AI. While there's been a lot of hype around Gen AI, the broader story has been about AI and a lot of plumbing, preparedness, which comes along with it, right? Gen AI is only a type of AI, first of all. There are others like predictive AI, cognitive AI, and so on. And what Gen AI push has done is they have pushed the broader AI infrastructure to the forefront. Namita also mentioned how data analytics is becoming a center of investments by a lot of the players in the market. Yeah. Overall, the market has definitely grown. It has been growing at 25 to 35% rate, about to reach $320 to $380 billion by 2027. Services is almost a fourth of this market, while software continues to be the lead. Yeah. And spend-wise, sector-wise, FS and tech are definitely in the lead. If you look at the incremental growth, healthcare is another sector which is seeing the most amount of jump. We had also surveyed almost 400 CXOs, people who make IT decisions, senior leaders across the industry globally. We had asked them, what are your tech priorities? And few of the themes which clearly emerge, on the top, you'll again see AI ML, including Gen AI. And we intentionally say including Gen AI because, as companies are starting to run POCs around Gen AI, they're realizing how much the base infrastructure, data, need fixing before anything, gets done to really realize the value of what Gen AI can bring. You'll also see cloud security analytics as a top priority. And so does some of the ERP, CRM segments, many of which, a lot of you operate in. In India, we expect market to grow at a similar rate, supported by, we have the second largest talent base. We are fifth in the amount of investment which is happening in the AI globally. We do see, BFSI and tech leading the sector mix when it comes to India. Again, not surprising. There's also a bit around media and advertising, which is seeing a lot of jump and will continue to see so as we look into the future. Now, where is the investment being done? Globally, $83 billion invested last year in Gen AI. Yes, of course, a lot of this was in large companies like OpenAI, Nuance, and the big numbers are coming from geography-wise North America. But there is also a wider set of tech investments which have happened in the broader ecosystem around software startups. Like think of companies like Servam AI who picked up $40 million as an investment. We are building our own LLMs. We are building an entire set of business around servicing, which will need to happen to make Gen AI work. Another theme which Namita also mentioned, if you look at the top horizontal themes, it is the chart in the middle. The largest investment is not in Gen AI. It is actually in data analytics, which goes back to saying, you need to get the overall AI story right. Plus, what it also implies is that, to get the best of Gen AI possible, the business impact that it can actually create for you, for our clients, you need to get the data infrastructure, architecture well designed, well placed. What Gen AI, for instance, is doing is also enabling use of unstructured data. But for that to happen, you need to have your foundational data created for that to be leveraged. One example which comes to my mind is, a lot of banks, insurance companies, you were always required for regulatory reasons to hold call records. Never got used, massive amount of data being stored every year, never being used for analysis. Now we are seeing places where customers are able to tag calls to specific customers and specific requests. So you can use that data for predicting, you can use that data into fraud identification, customer servicing, and so on. So the amount of work needed in codifying that unstructured data into what is usable is the biggest focus of investment right now. As I said, geographically, the larger share of investment continues to be in North America. It's also driven by some of the larger pieces, Microsoft, Nuance, and OpenAI investments. So definitely, it has the highest share of investments. But data analytics is a continuous, consistent theme, pretty much in Europe and Asia Pacific as well. India is also seeing a lot of interesting investments being done. We'll talk about it a bit shortly. Yeah. Coming now to India, yes, $730 million have been invested last year in AI, but what is more interesting is that a lot of this investment is also coming from Indian tech companies. Yeah. Think of it like Geo Platform investing in Glance, Perfios, acquired Karza Technologies, Infosys acquired Base Life Sciences to strengthen their healthcare offerings. Lot of investment again. Data analytics is the top, but across the stack, domain, horizontals, startups, there are a range of investments being done, and the amount of ecosystem build which is happening even in India. The demand for talent, I think is going to be massive. India has an advantage in terms of not just the broader STEM talent, but also if you look at top 5 countries with AI skill penetration, India is almost 3x of where the averages sit. Over the last 7 years, India has actually seen 14x growth in the individuals skilled in AI, broader AI. And this demand is expected to continue to be around 15%. It's also starting to show in terms of where the hiring is happening, and as many of you are in servicing business, you're also partnering with a lot of larger firms. There is this almost 70% jump last year in hiring of AI talent, and almost 15-20% of this was the leadership layers. Yeah. So amount of skilling, one skill demand, as well as the broader skilling of the ecosystem, the employee base is just at another level right now. Skills wise, of course, just to highlight, what kind of skills are gaining traction. ML, Python, SQL are definitely, are the hot ones in the market right now, but there are also Gen AI specific skills which are now high in demand, including GitHub, PyTalk, Databricks, and so on. Yeah. Now, what does it mean for the tech services businesses? With Nasscom, this is the framework which Namita was talking about. We've actually created. What we did was let me just talk about that first. What we did was we did surveys with 65 plus enterprises who operate in this space to see where they are doing well, what sort of outcomes and results they have been able to drive. We then distilled, and this is a mix of large tech, mid-tech companies, BPOs, global capability centers, mix of executives, CEOs and very senior executives, VPs, senior VPs who we, surveyed and interviewed. What this got us to was, distilling what are the capable, the ones which are seeing better outcomes, what are they doing right. We have divided this across 6 dimensions. One is AI, just to go back to this. One is AI for clients. What sort of offerings they have built? What is the level of service maturity? How stable are the use cases? Are some of them moving towards scaling? How robust is the GTM, go to market? How are you engaging with the customers? How clear is the value proposition and readiness of the clients on using some of this? The second pillar is around vision and governance. How aligned is C-suite to the broader Gen AI positioning? Have we brought in a AI-focused leader to drive it? We'll come back to some of the learnings and what we as leaders in our organizations need to be mindful of. But one of the things that stood out was a lot of experiments have happened in pockets. Sometimes current teams are hustling to build something with chat GPTs and the likes, but the ones which are leading have definitely brought in a focused leader to drive AI. And I'm intentionally saying AI is not just an AI, but net new AI. Yeah. So how mature we are in that direction. Similarly, governance framework, cross-functional coordination, and the other pillars, how is the operating model structured, who is responsible to drive what, who will drive the sales, how will the capability build or delivery be done. On people side, training, not just getting the people who can build Gen AI tools for you, but also how are we training wider organization to realize the value of GI? We are seeing a lot of places where, Copilot or Code Whisperer and similar licenses have been taken, but our people are even, able to use some of it. Are we seeing the output and impact which we expect out of some of these tools? So training the broader organization to be able to put in the right prompts, to be able to use the tools effectively in their day-to-day life. Yeah? And then technology and data, because without that stack being right, you cannot really create value through this. Yeah. Finally, I'll just wrap with a few points, and there is broader detail on this in the report, which is public. 6 learnings from the players who are doing very well, and some implications for us, all of us. On the client-facing side, which we are putting as external here, first, Gen AI pilots have started to move towards scaling. There's a lot of learning which has been built over the last few years, last few months, quarters, 18 months or so, on what is getting scaled versus not, what type of use cases are more viable to do, what will finally get scaled, where does the budget sit. There are a lot of learnings. For instance, one big learning is that Gen AI standalone is not the answer. It needs to fit into the broader process transformation, a domain solution which combines analytics, AI, reimagining journeys for the true value to be realized. It's not a point use case, it is actually a solve for the business problem and a business outcome. Second, the leaders are also building accelerators and capabilities to do faster deployments. Yeah, the big companies have invested in a bunch of things, but that's where the SMEs need to differentiate. Identifying one thing you do very well and cannot be beaten on is absolutely critical. This space is getting disrupted. There's a lot of opportunity, but if we can figure out that one thing we do better than anyone, there's a lot of opportunity. While not everyone can build an LLM. Can we build a small language model to solve one thing well? Or can we build some capabilities or partner with players to deploy a better version of a chatbot for a particular industry which is tuned for that industry? Yeah. Finally, clients are also learning with us, with the deployments which are happening. So it's very important to take them along. We have seen the best of the companies doing hackathons, doing sessions. Hyperscalers are also supporting a lot in this, joint campaigns with them, training their teams to take them along in the journey, in the client offerings part. Internally, as I said, getting the right leader to drive it in a structured fashion is a learning which many people have got. Earlier some efforts were being driven by the tech team, some were being driven by the data teams and so on. Now it is all starting to come, and it boils down to having somebody who can drive it for you. Now you as SMEs cannot hire big teams to do everything, right? But getting that one right leader and a small core team who can drive it in a focused manner is still absolutely instrumental for the SMEs as well. Second, you don't need to do everything yourself. Even if you look at, for something as widespread as knowledge summarization, say Accenture has partnered with Writer. They've actually invested in them also. So you don't need to do everything yourself. The number of software companies or SaaS companies which will emerge with point solutions for specific industries is going to be very high, and these are in hundreds. Identifying the right partners, can you do deployments for them? There's a lot wider supply network which will get created, partner ecosystem which will get created around it. And finally, the last one, and but not the least, is the responsible AI. Governance, everyone is still figuring out, no one has cracked it yet, but keeping a very tight eye on, how do you manage the governance issue, how do we deploy responsible AI, prevent the leakages, respect privacy, observability, security is absolutely paramount. I'll just pause here. There are a lot of other, learnings which are there in the report. It's public. We've also synthesized it into some takeaways overall. But we'll leave it at that, and we just want to open to any questions at this point and look forward to any inputs. Any questions, thoughts before we wrap?
Licensing is very high. So customers, of course, these solution could be informative or it could bring some kind of an insight, but mapping those insight value over the cost what they are going to incur on that outcome is not matching. So what is your response onto that part? How customers will take this forward? Of course, backend servers are expensive. NVIDIA shares are going high because of people investing into Gen AI space. So what is your response onto that part? How the future trend will be onto these technologies? Of course, the SMEs will be investing a lot of money into building solutions, but these solution has to run on some platform. If platform cost is gonna very high, so how they are going to map it with respect to the value which customer would receive?
Very well said. I think as the POCs are being run, there's a clear challenge around what we call as a Bermuda Triangle. And many places we have found POCs also being reasonably effective. Cost is of course one variable which doesn't hit you as much when you are doing a proof of concept on a very small scale, but when you scale anything, of course the cost of that is much higher. We call it a Bermuda Triangle, which is on one end you have cost, the other end you have performance and latency, how quickly your system is able to respond to them, the asked, and the third one is quality and accuracy of the what you were trying to get as an answer. There's a bit of a trade-off in all these three to realize the business outcome, and the reason I'm touching all three together is it's a combination of these three, right? You have to get right to be able to deliver business outcomes. There are on the cost side, compute cost will come down as some of this gets deployed. We have seen it time and again that when cloud started, there were a lot of questions on cloud, whether that's the right path and cost of that being high, etc., etc. There is a clear direction in which the entire market is headed, where right from chip cost to going down to server cost to compute cost, it will all come down as things scale. What is important at this stage to walk this journey, because I think it will take a bit of a time for scaled products to come out in the market. We have seen a bit of an unrest it has created in the BPO space, for instance, right? But it is even there, the solutions are still relatively less mature, where you are able to get the right responses all the time consistently. So the challenge you're saying is correct. I think the entire industry is figuring it out. Cost problem to an extent will get solved once things scale, because server costs will come down. But broadly, it's very important to walk the journey, continue on this journey and refine, then risk being left behind by the time efficiency comes in.
Thanks.
He spoke about infrastructure. We've not spoken about We spoke about infrastructure. We have not actually spoken about people. Because one of the biggest challenges that we have for success is talent. Right? I've not seen or read any reports where we can understand what the availability is, how can we access it. As SMEs, is there a possibility to collaborate with what we have? Can I access a strong skill which I probably can't afford? So, something in that area. Is that something that you're putting a report together on or working to create?
There's a bit of that in this document as well. There was a page which we touched upon what is the skill demand and where it is headed. In the report, we also talk about which skills are in relatively high demand. But your question is very, very valid. And as I was saying, if we have to just let everything else go and pick one priority for everyone right now, it is around skilling. The demand for Gen AI built talent is high, but there's also massive skilling needed on being able to use the tools available. When we speak to hyperscalers as well, some of them are pushing the licenses of efficiency tools that they've built in. Are those resulting in efficiencies by people who have adopted it? In pockets, yes. I've seen extremely promising results when companies have run small pilots with a certain team at either an individual task level or even end-to-end. Be it software development lifecycle or call center process automations and all. But how do you take any of that and get an average employee to adopt it? It's a massive effort as well. So I think your question, I would say in two parts. Skilling is a big agenda. SMEs' ability to access that Gen AI talent, I think you have to get the few right resources. I agree that there's a broader talent shortage, and the price for the cost of that talent will be high, and hence where you get the talent and where does that get deployed in building towards, instead of heading into 10 different directions. Can we pick one thing that we do extremely right and focus effort completely on that will be the best ROI. There's also a second set of effort around broader utilization of Gen AI, which will also be an opportunity. And as SMEs, if you have some solutions to this, I think that there's so much to, over the next few years, to partner with and build business around in terms of helping companies even do this.
Do you have any knowledge of any tool that's available for enabling this?
Lot of that in the making. Hyperscalers also have built not learning tools, programs. A lot of this is in the making. Lot of companies are also building their own answers to this, either internal tools or training programs, incentivization programs. There's also, I think, probably the last piece, and I'm getting a hint that we need to wrap, but there's also a realization that when you adopt anything new, for some duration, productivity dips before it picks up again. I think that's also a very, very important element to, when we're looking to reskill, upskill anyone, we need to keep that in mind, that this will require some weeks of effort. We should measure the outcomes the right way. If we deploy something and 2 weeks later we say, productivity hasn't increased, it'll probably deteriorate first before it increases. So it's just important to walk that journey now.
Just want to address from related with your talked about AI talent availability. So in Nasscom SME Council, we are doing a pilot program in Maharashtra with one engineering college. The framework is getting ready, pilot. So once we are planning to look at across India, but we require more entrepreneurs or partners required to work with one college. We are going to organize more AI talent training program for the engineering colleges, non-engineering colleges also, and data analytics also we are looking at. So in case you are interested, you want to partner with, we will identify on the college, and then the only thing you should work with that college. So we are doing across India. Please contact Nasscom SME Council or Nasscom SME team. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, Mr. Madaan and Ms. Jain, for this very comprehensive discussion to help us understand how businesses can become more agile and decision-making more robust. To felicitate our panel, I take the opportunity to invite on stage Mr. Abhishek Parkala. India COE site leader, Innovative. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We shall now take a networking tea break and reconvene the next session in 10 minutes. So you can get your tea and snacks here in the hall itself, and we would be starting exactly in 10 minutes from now with the next session. See you on the other side of the break.